Hey everybody, this is Marcel with Darkside Politics, episode 3. With me is my colorful co-host Sham. How's it going, Sham?
That's pretty good. I wonder if you saw that seizure I just had. It's part of who I am.
Yeah, I did see it. Uh, I just kept thinking about the kid that was doing all the dabs in the GIF at the baseball game. I don't know if you've seen that one, but we'll have to show it to you afterwards. That's just what I kept thinking about. Um,
I don't know that GIF, but you will have to show it to me afterwards. Our first story of the night is going to be the debt ceiling and what's happening, and pretty much the whole story about what's going on with Republicans trying to cut cost, supposedly, and us not willing to raise the debt ceiling, et cetera, et cetera. And so currently we are in $30.1 trillion of debt, and that was as of 2022. Our debt limit is at $31.4 trillion. And I just want to say, like, that's a lot of fucking money. And half of that is going to goes to Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. And then after that, military spending, which is about 12%. And that's in the discretionary spending category. And they call it national defense. I don't really know what we're defending ourselves against, but but basically on April 26th, Republicans passed a bill in the House that would raise the debt ceiling by 1.5 trillion and required 4.8 trillion in spending cuts. Now, those spending cuts obviously are going to target the people that don't really they kind of need the help. And it's really just tragic. And once again, another example of how fucked up this place is. Marcel, tell me about these spending cuts. What are they cutting?
yeah, so I mean, this is basically how every single one of these debt ceiling fights happen, and it's one of the reasons why the Republican Party loves to let them happen because they use them as a way to pressure Democrats to try to make some cuts that Democrats honestly don't want to make because, well, there's just not much to cut. But historically, it's been all right. We have the three albatrosses. We got Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and the defense budget. Republicans have no problem cutting Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. Democrats are the ones protecting that. It's the small part or the one big piece of pie that we actually use that actually benefits everyday working people. So of course, Democrats want to try to prevent that as much as possible from being cut. And then of course the military is we can't cut the military because how else are we going to forcibly exert capitalism and freedom across the globe. So however, McCarthy certainly overachieving here when it comes to his own abilities, managed to get a debt limit package passed in the House, as he said, Sham, and it's going to be cutting a lot of things that I think we just don't want to see cut.
what
Things that
really kind of bothers me about this situation, Marcel, is the fact that they could just reorganize the budget, to why don't we take some of that military spending? We literally spend more than the top 10 countries in the world, and move our military spending to, I don't know, education or healthcare or literally the 50 billion other things that we could be spending it at. And it's just why not? To be exact, we spend $767 billion on national defense. National defense. That doesn't even include veterans benefits and services. We could, if you guys really want it, we could move that budget to some of the veterans benefits. But of course, that's going to mess with the military industrial complex, and that's going to lower the dividends that our fellow congressmen and senators can make every month or every however often they're paid. And it's, that would just make too much sense, I think.
Yeah, well, on top of that, like, if we just redirected the money, then how else will we pay for the next round of tax cuts? Um, there's a lot of stuff that America doesn't do, but there's one thing that we do, and that's cut taxes for rich people. And that's actually part of the, while they're making all these cuts to, uh, all these discretionary programs, including things like veterans healthcare, education, et cetera. They're also, what's the word I'm looking for? Making permanent Trump's 2017 tax cuts, which definitely are a bigger hole in the budget than than the money they're going to get from these discretionary cuts. Trump's tax cuts cost $300 billion every single year. So that's the trillion every 4.5 years, give or take. Like, that's not a small amount of money. Like, you can't just cut taxes forever and expect to be able to keep up with the government's obligations. Like,
I
a
mean,
certain
what
gotta
the
give.
like, yeah, I mean that's how numbers kind of work, right? Where the other thing Republicans have proposed, and I might have said it earlier, is they wanted to cut the spending or cut spending by $4.8 trillion over a decade. I don't know what cutting $4.8 trillion off of our total debt's really going to do, especially over a decade while we continue to add to the debt at an exponentially faster rate. And like, the fact that there's like such a severe mismanagement of funds, how much money that we how much money is spent on the
On the mill.
yeah,
It's
just
fine.
how much money is spent on national defense. My brain was like trying to think of the word that they use, national defense, and I literally couldn't compute it. It was not like national defense in my head. It was taking advantage of other countries and all this other stuff that we do that really should not be getting involved in, but that's a different conversation. And it's just it fucking pisses me off.
Yeah, and then like one of the other things they're going to be doing is adding work reporting requirements as well for things like Medicaid, SNAP, and TAMP, because if you're relying on those things, I don't know, like, I'm just really against like all the like sort of like work reporting when it comes to those kind of things, because they don't really give out that much money. Like, if you're talking about like dozens to maybe hundreds of dollars, and this money can be a difference between you feeding your family and not feeding your family. If, for example, if you're a single mother with like 2 kids, especially if they're young kids, you might not be able to work because like you can't afford daycare. There's no like paid childcare here in this country. So now you're risking losing your it just puts you in a really bad situation.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree.